What up, Chuck?
That's what's up. So, listen. First of all, I want to thank everybody that has been tuning into our podcast. We have we have had a few technical difficulties, but we're back. We're back at it. We're back at it. And this time, we got a whole new concept for you guys. So it will not only be me, but it will also be the young lady who's always coming in at the end, but now she's my co-host. So, everybody, I'm your boy Big Chuck,
And I'm Jessica.
and this is the Impact. There it is. And she's Jessica Justice, and I would like to welcome you guys to the Impact. So tonight, for our first show back after our little layoff, we're going to talk about something that needs to be talked about, but we have a very special guest. And Jessica, who is the young lady that we have on the phone tonight?
Well, tonight we are blessed with having the wonderful presence of Miss Victoria Beach with us tonight. I don't know if you've heard about
Absolutely.
Miss Victoria Beach, but she's quite quite an activist in the city of Seattle. Community leader.
Well, Miss Beach, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. So when it comes to community activism, give us a little insight on what it is exactly that it is you do as far as your community activism goes. Like, what does that look
Okay.
like?
Well, first off, I need to start off saying I grew up hating the police. I've been have family members that have been beaten up by them. Just a lot of stuff. And my daughter, when she was 5, there were 2 guns pointed at her. I've been called the N word over and over many times. My family has, and so I grew up hating them. And then I started getting involved, and I thought, I want to know what's happening in the department. So I started leading different meetings and going to meetings and started getting involved. And truth to be told, I started meeting officers that I thought were okay, and would call out bad officers. So
Yeah.
I got involved. I would go to protests and stuff, and I used to be the chair of the African American Community Advisory Council for SPD.
Okay.
They asked me to chair for over a year. I said no. I wasn't ready for that, and I didn't want to take what comes along with that, which I understand. Community. Some of them don't want a relationship with the police, and I get it. I understand, and I didn't. Some will turn on you, and I saw the chair before me. What happened to her? Long story short, the captain at the precinct that was in my neighborhood came to me and he said, "The reason why we want you is because you'll call BS on the police department and your community. You're fair, and the police listen to you. That you're respected by them because you will call us out." So
Yeah.
I did that, started doing meetings and trying to bridge the gap, giving my community a voice at the table. And
Absolutely.
so now after years and years of volunteer work, I did quit. And the chief asked me what it would take to get me back. And I said, there's too much work. Maybe you can pay me. I had contract work with them, but I'm now an employee as of December. And I still, my kids really don't approve because my oldest daughter, she hates the police, and I get it. And some people aren't where I am with it, but the bottom line is we need police,
Absolutely.
and we need good police. And where I am, I know what's happening, and I can call them out, and I still do.
Yeah.
I love Chief Adrian Diaz, and and he would be the first to tell you that I would set them straight with whatever. Now the administration we have now, I'm struggling because it's not the same. But I will never. I have too much integrity to sit back and let things happen. My community comes first, and SPD second. So it's been difficult, but we need this type of work done.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that we need police because so there was a big push a couple years ago for defund the police, and so I'm not for defunding the police because we need police officers, because a society without police officers is just complete chaos and anarchy. And I know that crime is high right now, but how much worse would it be without police? Like, we don't need to defund police. We just don't need black police officers. Right?
I agree. And I mean, we need police, but we need good police. We need police that aren't going to continue to kill us. And that's, I'm also involved with a program called Before the Badge. And we hire these, the recruits come to us for 4 weeks. We train them on every culture. I take them to black-owned businesses, because if you're going to be in my community, you need to be around us and know why we fear you. I just left a meeting with them and with a pastor. We went to the church and we have deep, long discussions, and they get it. I'm telling you, policing is changing with these new recruits. And if to your listeners, there's a attorney named Jeffrey Robinson, and he did a documentary called Who We Are, and it's powerful, and our recruits watch it. It's slavery, policing, everything. But and you made a good point. How would it be without police? Well, we're already seeing it, because we don't even have a full department. And look what's happening already. Things are out of control.
Yeah, it's getting crazy in Seattle. I wanted to mention two things. One, or two questions I have for you. One, you mentioned, your daughter hates the police. What do you think it's going to take to get the Black and brown community on board to at least view police as human beings, right? And not just see them as a badge or their profession. And two, I wanted to kind of open up, what you were talking about, Chuck, the whole defund the police movement. I've heard both sides of the coin when it comes to that. And I think a lot of people that were saying defund the police, what they were saying is take the money that we're using to hire police officers and put it towards mental health providers, crisis intervention, and things like that. And I believe in some cases that would work, because look at the case that just happened in Chicago with Sonia Massey. The police come in, she's obviously having a mental health crisis. It's not like she needed armed officers. If they would have sent a mental health crisis person out there, they might have been able to help her instead of kill her. So I see both sides of the coin. I definitely know we need police. We need to pay police good money because they put their lives in danger every single day. But I also agree that we need to have more funding and resources put toward, mental health services, and being able to call 911 and say, hey, somebody here is having a mental health crisis. Can you send someone? What do you guys think about that?
I agree with that. And Seattle, we are doing that. We have the CSOs that don't carry weapons. We have the care team. We have, oh God, I can't think of it. It's with the fire department. And I get it. Yeah. The people with the common sense, that's what they meant, but they didn't know how to word it. That we need to allocate this money to all these other programs that can relieve the police from going to these calls. But when the whole defund the police movement happened, it wasn't the Black community rioting, tearing our city up. There was a bunch of white people that don't speak for us.
Yep.
And so
Absolutely.
the Black community is the community that is suffering because we're the ones that our neighborhoods are out of control. And, you know, about my daughter and other people, what will it take? You know, my daughter, even though she doesn't like them, she knows we need them. Yeah. But, and I worked with a lot in the Black community, and they want police. They're there. They whenever they have games or whatever, the parade, they reach out to me and say, "Can you get us protection?" And so they want them. So we've come a long, long way. But I can't stress it enough. I get it when the other side says, "No, I don't like them because I have this." I mean, I even get triggered. You know, when things happen, I go all the way back where I hate them all again. But then after I calm down, I realize, you know, but these officers also, they need to learn how to check each other and stand up and say, "No, you're wrong. Right. You're wrong for doing that." Yeah. And the George Floyd case is an example. That one cop, it was his first day on the job, and now he's going to be in prison. Oh, if he would have told him, get off his neck, right? Or, you know, but and that's what we're teaching these recruits now. You got to step in and say something, no matter how long they've been on the force. Right. You coming in, you need to do the right thing.
Yeah, what's right is right. I mean, instead of, you know, sitting there trying to hold the crowd back and get the crowd back, you know, they should have been calling him out, you know, for sure.
Yeah, with them. With the police officers backing each other up, there has to be some accountability somewhere. Because so even with me being in prison, I see that same type of effect here. You know, an officer is completely in the wrong, right? And a more senior officer will see it and know it, but he won't correct the situation, or that person won't correct the situation. And there needs to be accountability amongst officers. You know, like I said earlier, I think we definitely need police, right? But we don't need police who are biased, who are prejudiced, who are racist, or who are really just mean people. You know what I mean? Like people who won't get power drunk because they have a badge and they have a gun, and so on and so forth. So I was thinking earlier, and I was talking to somebody, and I was like, I wonder if there could be a test that could be developed for police officers to take that would determine their biases, or maybe if they even have, you know, some racist issues and views, but they not even know that that's the test that they're taking. Because I think if they knew, they would answer their questions, you know, differently. And I think that these, you know.
You know what? In our program before the badge, they are being taught that. We have a psychologist that comes in and talks to them once a week. They're getting all of that training. And I'm telling you, I've been through over 100 recruits, and there's only one that stood out to me that I said to him, "You're not what we're looking for. Clearly a racist. Clearly a racist."
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yep, and I don't care what the chief, I don't care what whoever says. I'm gonna call you out because you're not gonna ruin my reputation, you know.
Yeah.
And so they're taught all of that. I mean, it's I mean, they watch the videos. It's the psychologist he's incredible. His name is Dr. David Lewis, and you know, and they're taught, like, you know, if you go out on a call and you see your partner is in a bad mood and maybe talking not professional, you can say to him, "You know what? Let me take over. You know, you can go sit in the car, you could go do this or that." They're being trained that. Or if they come to work and they're going through a divorce or whatever, these officers are being trained to call out their partners. You know, it's
like don't bring your personal issues to work.
Yeah. Or even when they go, they're being trained, like if they go on a call and maybe there's a child that has been hurt and maybe has died, how do we expect them to go to the next call and act like that didn't happen?
Right.
They're being trained to say, I need a break. I need an hour, or I need this, or I feel like I should go home. So they're getting incredible training with this program.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like what's truly needed. I work with a lot of formerly homeless and homeless individuals who have mental health issues and drug addiction issues. And there's a lot of training that goes into the work that I do too, because it'll burn you out. And I can't imagine being a police officer and seeing, things that are 10 times worse, in murders and blood and car accidents and just, everything that goes on in the community. So I think that's great. That
absolutely
that organization that you work with is doing that. I wanted to ask, what are some of the challenges that you face in the work that you do, bridging the gap between law enforcement and minority communities?
It in the beginning it was so difficult. I was called a traitor, a cop lover, and it hurt. And now my skin is pretty thick, and my community backs me right now. I mean, they really back me. But then on the other hand, I have officers that don't like me because they don't want change. Right. And so I'm in the middle where community doesn't like me, the police don't like me, and it's stressful. It is.
You
so
have 1 minute left.
But I have faith in God, and that's what keeps me going. And I know that I'm supposed to be where I am right now, even though I want to quit every other day.
Yeah.
It's and like I said, I don't expect people to be where I am, because it took me a while. We're all on our own journey, but I just ask people to just have a dialogue and don't hold anything back.
So Ms. Beach, I have to ask you to pause just for 1 second so I can hang up and call back in. Okay.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second. All right.
Well, we've never had a co-host on this podcast before. We don't really have to stop. We'll address that in the next podcast. But when he gets back, I wanted to talk about how your faith plays a role in the work that you do. Do you think your faith plays a role in the work that you do?
Oh, it does. It really does. Because like I said, there's some days I'm so down, and even when I've tried to quit, I know that the Lord has put me here for this work, and you don't say no to God. And what I say is, God, you have to give me the strength to continue on. And I'm gonna share a short story with you. A few weeks ago, I was so down, and I thought, oh, I really need to quit. And I was at a function, and I was getting ready to leave, and this lady came up to me, and she said, I know who you are. I've seen you on TV, the news. She says, I've been following you. And she goes, you need a hug. And when she said that, I almost started crying. And she said, you can't quit. And this lady, I've never talked with her. She goes, you can't quit. She goes, I'm going to support you. And so I know that was God. And it's, today was a bad day too. And I want to walk away. There's a lot I can't share because, I would get fired, but, I'm really disappointed in the police department right now.
Yeah.
And, so I'm struggling, and, but I also can't turn my back on my community because they need me. Nobody wants to do the work.
Yeah.
And
tough work. I was just asking her while you were gone, Chuck, what role her faith plays in the work that she does. So she was,
Her faith has to. So I would imagine that your faith has to be super strong, because, throughout history, people who take on, projects such as this and do this kind of work, like you said earlier, you got hate from both sides. The same people that you're fighting for are saying, hey, listen, you're out of line. You don't need to be doing this, but the whole point of what you do is, listen, I'm trying to make it better, not just for me, but for us, and sometimes people just don't understand that. You know what I mean? Until they begin to see the effects of it. They have to see the effects of it first. And then, you'll have the chief of police who ask you, hey, listen, come in and show us how to clean this up and how to get this right. But then you're also trying to help them, and then they'll say, hey, listen, we don't want this because this goes against everything that we're training. So we're basically, we might be on the force 15, 17 years, and now we got to be retrained to deal with, situations that we've always dealt with. And, and they would think that you don't understand. But what they don't see is that you're seeing it from both sides of the coin. Like, hey, listen, I know what my community sees when they see you because I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm trying to help you understand. This is what we see, Listen, I want to thank you for the work that you do. I know oftentimes you might feel like your work is thankless, but it is not. It is greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you so much for that.
It is really greatly appreciated. It really is.
I've always been very, very shy, and I mean very shy. And so this fell into, I say it fell into my lap, but I know it's the Lord, because I did one interview when we had the riot downtown, and and that interview went viral. And then I was getting interviews, national news, and just being labeled an activist, and so it became huge. I went to Israel. I started going all over speaking. It just, and believe me, I shook when I saw, and I've even gone. I went to Atlanta and spoke, got a standing ovation, and spoke to over 800 people. And I'm just like, this. If you would have told me this would happen, because I'm shy, but I'm not anymore. I'm in a book. Yeah. Is it Vice News? Vice News flew out to Seattle to interview me. So I've done a lot. If you Google, you can see a lot of it. But and that's why I know it's God. It has changed my life, and I don't do it for the recognition at all. I could care less about interviews. And I'm in a book called San Francisco. It's crazy. And so
it's about the work. It's about the service.
Yep. The other departments have asked me to help them get started, and it's God. I know it is. And
absolutely.
When I get discouraged, it's like I said, I just want to help my community, and I want to help keep us alive.
Yeah, absolutely. We as people on, black, brown, white, whatever your nationality may be, if you're a police officer or not, I think the most important thing for us to do is to see each other as people first. We have to see each other as people first, and then the other things come into play. So if when a police officer comes to a community and they deal with a situation, they would have to understand that, I'm dealing with, someone's dad or someone's mother. But also, from the other side, we also have to see, like, hey, listen, I'm dealing with someone's dad or someone's mother, and, someone's doing a job. And everybody ultimately wants peace, and everybody wants to go home, the officer definitely wants to go home at the end of his shift because he has a family that's expecting him to come home. And, we also have a family that is expecting us to come home or to, not to walk outside to speak to a police officer about a situation and then just simply never walk back in the house again. And I think it's very important that we begin to see each other as people first. That I think will alleviate a lot of it.
I agree. you know, there are officers that I consider my family now, and
yeah,
and they have cried when I share the stories that I have of being called the N-word and being beaten up. They're sick, and they want to be the change, and now I have them to worry about. You know, I hope people respect them if they knew where their hearts are, and that they want to be the change. You know, in policing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, it just goes to show that your effort is not, you know, not being wasted. Like, because you can get officers to want to change, you know?
Yeah.
That's the thing. That is really the thing. Because if you can get them to want to change, then they'll have more, maybe it's empathy that I'm looking for, is the word I'm looking for when they come into the community. You know, because when police are called to any community, to any type of situation, it's probably going to be a volatile situation.
Yes.
And they really have to be in control of their feelings and their emotions going into this. So I think, you know, it's definitely a stressful job for everybody, you know.
Yep.
On both sides.
I said this tonight in a class to the recruits. You know, if you pull somebody over, or no matter what the call is, and they're rude or whatever, I said, it's not you. They could have had a bad interaction with an officer, and so they don't trust you, and that's why they act that way. And I said, still respect them. Treat them like it's your mother, your father, your sister, and try to understand. It's you know, I just wish that the community, all communities, could see what we're teaching them, and to hear them in their own words. Why a lot of them want to be the change, and I always ask them, why do you want to be an officer? Why Seattle when it's so difficult? And because they want to be the change and make the difference.
That's great. It sounds like a lot of the communities that you were when you went viral that were contacting you want to take an example from the city of Seattle and the programs that you've been working with. So I think that's great if that work and the training, you know, gets spread across the country to every police department in the country. I think this is a big thing that you're doing. I just wish it just, you know, every police department in the nation would have that same training.
Yep. Well, they're asking. Actually, the state patrol sat in on some of our classes.
You think it would be? Oh, go ahead.
No,
finish your thought.
Go ahead. Because they want to implement what we're doing.
Yeah. You know, you think it would be possible if maybe? So I'm sure there's other community leaders and community activists out there who could maybe sit down and talk with some of these officers that are going through this 6-week course. Because
we do.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I was thinking
we take
if
them
they
out in the
could
community.
see it. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
we take them out in the community. Yep.
Yeah.
And you. I would ask everybody to Google before the badge and look at what they're being taught. And and it was all put together by Chief Adrian Diaz. This was always his dream. And you know, and how many chiefs are going to admit there's something wrong in their department, so we need to do something about it? You know?
Yeah. Nobody that's in charge wants to admit that there's a problem with their department on their watch.
Right.
You know?
Right.
They're more than willing to say I inherited a problem and I'm going to be the one to fix it. But they don't want to say this place has a problem while I'm here, and it's had a problem while I was here. You know?
Yep.
Because ultimately he would.
Go ahead.
He thinks that he would be perceived as if he's failing.
Right.
Right. But he can't
because
he can't fail when people come to something with issues already. Like you can't fail. Like you see what I'm saying? Like their issues and their biases and the things are like that. Those things are ingrained in them before they even took this job.
Yep.
And so he did a great thing by instituting a program such as this.
Yep, he did.
This is an awesome thing.
It gives a lot of us hope, you know, and and also not only they're being trained, but we're also hiring more blacks. We have a young woman that's on the department now from South Africa, Brazil.
Oh, really?
All over the place. They're coming here, and but the other thing people need to realize, Seattle does the longest training, and it takes a full year for a police officer to be on the streets.
Wow, a whole year.
Oh, really?
They can even.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting to know. It takes a whole year. Wow.
Yes, a whole year. Yep. And and a lot of departments make fun of Seattle, like, oh, I wouldn't work for Seattle because you can't do your job. Well, they are being trained better to do their job so that we're not being killed and racial profiling.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm gonna have to go. I'm picking somebody up, and he's calling me to make, and so I'm gonna have to go. But thank you so much for having me. And look up Before the Badge and Jeffrey Robinson's documentary that the recruits watch.
We definitely will. I want to thank you for your time, Victoria. Thank you for coming on and speaking, and thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the community. It's so appreciated.
Thank you.
And thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, Jeff?
Well, have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Yeah.
Well,
man,
how did you think about this episode?
That was heavy.
Impact? Yeah, I think a lot of people knew that.
Absolutely. I learned a lot. Like, I didn't know that they had to go through a whole year of training before they could even get a badge and become a police officer.
I had no idea.
Yeah, me either. Wow. You know what? The work that she does, man, is so needed, and I think people really she needs to be recognized for it in the community, because the people that she fights for, I don't think they even realize what it is she goes through.
Yeah.
To just to ensure their safety, you know?
Yeah. I think we need more people like her too.
Absolutely. We definitely need more people like her. We definitely need more people like her who are willing who are basically willing to frontline it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
She's front. Yeah, she is. She's frontlining. She's taking the bumps and the bruises, you know, for the betterment of people.
Yeah.
That's an awesome, awesome thing.
Well, next week we'll see who we have. I want to thank all the listeners that tuned in tonight. Please feel free to send us an email if you'd like to get involved. If you have any questions, our email address is info@filthyregsoutreach.org. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, send us an email. Go ahead and visit our website, www.filthyregsoutreach.org.
Right on. Well, just listen. This was another wonderful episode.
Yes, it was.
I appreciate your hard work. I thank you. And listen, everybody out there, we'll see you next Thursday. Tune in to us, 8 o'clock. It's The Impact. I'm your boy, Big Chuck.
And Jessica Justice.
And this is The Impact.